What is up everyone, it's me with ADHD, and today we're gonna try and figure out whether or not you have ADHD. So let's get right into that. But before we do that, make sure that you've subscribed, click that bell icon, stay up to date with all of my new content. All right, moving on. So a lot of the time I get very similar questions from you guys. They normally range from things like, I have this symptom, does that mean I have ADHD? Or is this a symptom of ADHD? Or how can I tell if I have ADHD? Well, to be honest, I try to get to every single person who asks me these questions, but it got me thinking, why don't I just create a video that goes over all of the symptoms and the prerequisites that are involved in getting diagnosed with ADHD? Now hold up for a second. I just want to state one thing. I am no doctor, okay? I cannot diagnose you. What I can do is I can show you the prerequisites that go into a diagnosis and the symptoms, and then you can make a decision based off that. But I would definitely think that if you do show a lot of these symptoms, you should 100% go to a doctor for a diagnosis. All right, disclaimers out of the way, let's actually talk about what ADHD is. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder is an impairment in the brain that affects the way that your brain uses and produces dopamine. This in turn causes issues with your memory, with your focus, with emotions, and a whole host of other things in your life too. Now there are a lot of symptoms that go into ADHD, things such as hyperactivity and bad memory, poor focus, impulsivity, and being over emotional. And while a lot of these are core symptoms of ADHD, the thing is, they're very relatable symptoms too, which leads a lot of people to think that they actually have ADHD because they feel one or two of these symptoms as well. But while everyone can relate to some of the symptoms, you have to show a minimum of 6 of these symptoms before the age of 12. Oh, and while all of us can't remember being 12 years old, that's okay. You can show these symptoms into adulthood and as early as you can possibly remember. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you 10 questions to quiz you and see if you fit the criteria for ADHD. Then you can go see a doctor about it. All right, question number 1. Do you have trouble starting projects? And I mean like actually starting the project, not all of the prior planning and all of the creative thinking and all that, because we do really well at that stuff. I'm talking about when it actually comes down to it, to pulling the trigger and actually starting the project. Is that where you have the trouble? Question number 2, do you have poor attention to detail? So when you do finally start working on that project, do you find yourself making a lot of little mistakes that you just brush over while you're just kind of smashing your way through it as fast as possible? Do you skim read everything? Do you ignore instructions? Do you make silly mistakes because you're constantly not paying full attention to what you're doing? Question number 3, are you easily distracted? Like, easily distracted. When you finally do a task, do you find that you become bored really quickly and just distracted by anything around you? This isn't just for tasks, this goes for like conversations too. Do you find yourself zoning out of a conversation really easily and find it really hard to focus exactly on what people are saying to you? Do you find that you didn't even listen to what they said to you when they spoke to you? You're just looking at their mouth moving. Question number 4. When you do focus, do you hyperfocus? So hyperfocus is practically Super Saiyan focus. This is where you become so intently focused on a task that you forget every single thing around you, you lose your concept of time, and you can go for hours and hours on something without even needing to go to the bathroom or sometimes even eat. Question number 5. Do you have bad time management? Now this is a rather loaded question, but breaking it down, do you have trouble making deadlines? Do you have trouble making it on time to things even though you try and you think you're going to be on time? Do you have trouble with time in relation to a task's length? And what I mean by that is, do you think that things are going to take way less time than they actually do take? And do you repeat this as well? Do you still make the same mistake on the length of a task even though in the past it's taken longer? Question number 6, are you disorganized? Do you feel like everything is such an incredible rush in your life that it's almost impossible to keep everything organized? Do you use the phrase organized chaos a lot? Do your tasks at work become disorganized? Meaning, do you have trouble prioritizing which task is most important and which one to do at certain times? Question number 7. Do you have trouble with your emotions? This one has a number of different things to it. Do you feel like your emotions are exaggerated in comparison to other people? Like, do you feel like you're quick to anger or sadness or boredom? Do you have a poor self-image? And do you have trouble letting go of negative emotions or what other people might think of you? When something pops into your head that you really want to do you find yourself getting frustrated that you can't do that thing immediately or you have to wait to do it? Question number 8, are you impulsive? Piggybacking off the last question, do you find yourself wanting to do something immediately right after you think about doing it? For instance, when you think about something you might need, do you jump on Amazon right away and have to purchase it right there in that moment? Do you find that there are people in your life that are constantly having to put the brakes on you? Do you also find that in the middle of conversations, something will just pop into your head and you literally have to say it? You can't even wait until that person's finished talking until you say what you need to say. Question number 9, are you forgetful? This one applies more to your short-term working memory than it does your long-term memory. Do you have trouble remembering things that you were literally just told? Things like people's names or the instructions to a task that you're doing. Do you have trouble remembering really simple things that other people it comes naturally to them? And question number 10, do you have trouble shutting off your brain? Is your brain constantly running at 1,000 miles a minute? Do you have trouble winding down and sleeping because of all of the thoughts that are running through your head all at once? Do you find it hard to write down ideas for things because every time you start to write it down, you come up with different ideas and other things and you write those down and then eventually you end up with a whole mess of not fully fleshed out ideas? So if you said yes to all of these things or almost all of these things, the chances are you have ADHD. And like I said in the beginning, I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose you, but these are the criteria for ADHD, and if you fit a lot of these and you feel like you might have ADHD, I would strongly suggest going to your doctor. Getting a diagnosis as early as possible is really important, you guys, because it can stop you using other things to self-medicate yourself without knowing. And that can lead to things like drug abuse or alcohol abuse or a number of negative things. So if you do think you have ADHD, go and see your doctor and see what they say. Anyway, that is my checklist on ADHD. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you think you have ADHD. Let me know if you've been to your doctor and see what they say. I'd love to hear from all of you guys. Like the video if you did. Subscribe, click that bell icon, stay up to date with all of my new content, and I will see you guys in the next one.